Hello, Patrick.
Hello, sir. How you doing, man?
Wonderful. How are you?
Doing all right. Hey,
Oh, this is Stacy? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying Stacy to...
Oh, I no. Stacy sent me black cats
Oh.
dancing, and I just said,
Sorry,
thank
Patrick.
yeah, no problem. Hey, what do you propose we do with the millions that came here seeking asylum and don't qualify for asylum? We now have 20% of almost 20% of hotels in New York that are now been converted to migrant centers.
Yeah,
A lot of people
you
are quite
understand if
upset
you're
about
not
that.
granted asylum, you don't get to stay in the country, right?
But the whole thing is Biden changed it to allow these people to seek asylum here in the United States and stay here for 3 years. Some of these asylum court dates aren't being taken place until 2030 something.
Biden didn't change any rules. What happened is we just have a lot.
Title 42, he changed.
Title 42 had nothing to do with asylum seekers, sir.
It allows the process. He allowed them to come and seek asylum in the United States and not from previously.
They were always allowed to.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. During the Obama,
They were. It was happening during Trump's administration too. Like Venezuela, there were tons of people.
Do you mean the numbers today are relevant to the numbers in Trump's administration?
Hold on.
The numbers are
Remember, hold
astronomical.
on, Patrick.
Again,
hold on.
20% of people.
Patrick, all right, Patrick. Remember, what I said is there's just more people now. I've already addressed that there's way more now than there was before. What I said is the rule didn't change.
It did
Right?
change.
Well,
It did
what-
change.
it- well, what
Previously,
changed?
Previously, they had to seek asylum from where they were coming from.
That's
Or the
not true,
first-
buddy. It's just not true.
No,
I'm sorry,
it's
that's
not
just not true.
So all these people that are here now, it's exponential from previous administrations. It was allowed. They were encouraged to come here, and they're given free housing, free meals, and monthly.
Patrick, can I just tell you that? Let me just go over the Title 42 thing just really quick. So, Title 42 was something that was used because of public health policy, right?
Right.
Because of the pandemic, they were able to say, we're having an emergency, and now Title 42 is something that we're going to use to claim because of the pandemic, right? There's a public health emergency. That's why they were allowed to do that. And people can't or remain in Mexico because it goes against a lot of laws, right? There's a lot of different and international immigration treaties that it violates. And so that's why it ended. It wasn't because it just time was up on that, right? Like
Emergency was over.
Yeah, the public health emergency was over and time was just up. Trump's going to probably try to declare some sort of that will probably be the legal argument made if he does try, to reinstate remain in Mexico. But it just depends on what the Supreme Court does.
Okay, but with
right?
Title-
Once you get your feet on U.S. soil, this last thing. Once you get your feet on U.S. soil, you're allowed to claim asylum, right?
When Title 42 was in place, U.S. were able to swiftly remove migrants crossing the border from Mexico, including asylum seekers, using the pandemic as justification.
Did
Now,
I
after-
just say?
that's
Did
what we
I
just
legit
said,
just
bud.
say those? Did I
But
not?
you're
just
saying it has
explain
nothing to do with asylum. It did have to do
No,
with
no, no,
asylum.
no. The authorization had nothing to do with asylum. The reason that asylum seekers were included is because of the public health emergency. There was no rule that
That's right,
changed.
because they
and
were
but
using
hold
the
on, hold on, hold on.
pandemic
I
use.
just
I
said.
know,
I
Patrick,
said that.
We're almost
I
on the
just
same
wanna-
page. She just said that. She just said that, Patrick. Just a
Just
second
don't
ago.
listen when women speak, Patrick. But
Oh,
I
that's
did
right.
just
Yeah,
say those words.
I was mansplaining, right?
No, she literally just
I
told
literally
you all
said
of that.
I said what you just said.
Okay, now considering the majority of these people don't qualify for asylum under current law, should they all not be deported immediately?
No, they have to go through the asylum process first.
But we know they don't qualify, and some of them are
We
given
don't
court
know that
dates
they
in
don't
20
qualify. They get a hearing. That's part of the legal process. They get a hearing.
But I do agree with you, Patrick, that we need to speed the process up. It's putting unnecessary strain in our system to
Okay, guys.
to have immigrants. Wait, listen to me, Patrick. I'm trying to agree with you, and you're not allowing me. Listen to the words I'm saying. I'm saying I agree with you, Patrick. The asylum process is putting unnecessary strain on us and on taxpayer dollars, on states' taxpayer dollars to support people who are waiting for their asylum court dates and to move through that process. And we need two things to address that, right? We need to change asylum laws, so narrow them down, right? So 5 billion people on this earth can't show up at one of our borders and seek asylum. And then we need to increase funding So we have more asylum judges, more asylum officials, and we can expedite the process. All of that was laid out in the bipartisan border bill. That's what we need to do to address it.
The border bill was more about Ukraine and more about Israel than it was the border. There was 60 billion to Ukraine. I think it was like 20, maybe 16. And y'all's think
Patrick,
about
hold on.
Let me talk. I'm not. Hey, let me.
I need to just correct you on something. I need to correct you on something. The Republicans asked it to be tacked on to the Ukraine money. And then after we did that and they said, oh, never mind, we don't want to fund Ukraine, it was removed and it was made a standalone bill. And it got less support than when it was tacked to the Ukraine money. So I'm letting you know that that's not, I just want you to know it's not true. It was presented with the Ukraine money, and it was presented as a standalone bill. And what the reason it was killed was not because of Ukraine funding or Israel funding. It was because Trump wanted to run on the border.
That's a good talking point, but the bill was a bad bill. See, the difference between Republicans and you guys is
Why
you
was
guys
it a bad bill?
I'm explaining. You guys want to facilitate.
No, you're explaining what we think. I want to know why the bill's bad. I'm not
am telling
interested
you.
on your version of what we think.
God, let me say something.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I just want to know why the bill's bad. I'm not interested in you telling us what we think.
I'm telling you why. You guys want to facilitate the process.
See, now you're telling us what we want to do again. I need to know why the bill is bad.
Because
I don't need your opinion on what we're thinking.
I don't want to speed up the process of bringing these people in. I want to stop them from coming in. That's the difference.
Okay, but we can't change that. The only way to change
I addressed that,
law,
Patrick.
You secure the border.
Patrick,
and
Patrick, listen to me, Patrick. Patrick, stop talking.
To your nonsense.
Okay, but I'm addressing what you're saying, and you're not receiving the information. I told you, I do agree with you to some extent. I think that you're xenophobic, so I don't agree with that. I think immigration is what made this country great, and we do need pathways to citizenship, and we need immigration, right? Immigration's like an arms race. But I do agree with you that right now, under the current asylum laws, about 6 billion people could show up at any time, and probably will because of climate crisis, at our border. And if they get their feet, Patrick, listen to me. Patrick,
he's just
listen
waiting to be
me.
offended. He's just waiting to hear
Listen
a word
to me.
that he can
Under our current asylum laws, under our current,
gone. It's not even funny.
Patrick, I'm just telling you facts. If you
Why
don't
do you talk
like
to
facts,
people like they're a child? Why do you feel the need to do that?
Patrick, because you're having issues with listening and retaining information, and that's when I start speaking slowly and clearly, so people can retain the information. Patrick, you're having a tantrum. Calm down. It's gonna be okay, or you have to go in timeout. The reason I'm talking like this to you is because I used to be a second grade teacher. That's why. And this is why. This is how I get children to listen to me. So listen, Patrick, if we don't change our asylum laws, that's what you need to happen. You're saying, I don't want people to be allowed to show up, get their feet on US soil and claim asylum. Then what you need is to go through Congress, right? And you have to have Congress write new asylum laws. That's what they were trying to do in the bipartisan border bill. Give the executive branch more power and make the asylum laws narrower so fewer people can show up here. Because the problem with asylum laws are that people's lives are in danger. So if they get their feet on US soil, which I don't think you're understanding, they have the right to claim asylum and at that point get due process. They're waiting in line, Patrick. They're not like sneaking into the United States. They're waiting
coming
in
over,
line.
and the Border Patrol is picking them up and taking them to a migrant center. Years ago, they would enforce the border and prevent them from coming over. Today, the Border Patrol puts them in vans and ships them.
That's not true, Patrick. That's not true.
It is absolutely
Patrick,
true.
anybody that gets their feet on U.S. soil can claim asylum. Or you can claim asylum through the app and set an appointment, or you can go to a port of entry.
Okay. Patrick, when was the last time, can I ask you a question about that? When was the last time that you came, that it used to be that if you came over seeking asylum, that they didn't take you somewhere, that they didn't give you a place to go, and they just sent you back across the border? When was that? Well, you said that's how it used to be, right?
So here's an article from 2022. Biden administration's announces asylum system overhaul. This was in 2022. He has totally changed asylum laws.
What changed?
And
the president can't unilaterally change the law, right? Do you know that?
He undid many of executive orders, and he day one changed.
So those aren't laws.
Yeah, but he has the authority to secure the border. Yes, he does.
He has the authority to do what he can to secure the border. What he doesn't have the authority to do is fund Border Patrol, fund security, and get more resources so that we can take care of this problem we have at the southern border. That has to be
do
done
we all
through
remember the
Congress.
time on the
So what
debate
the
stage?
president would just
Remember the
what
debate Biden said
the
to
president
swarm
what the president
the border?
what the president
You remember
what the
that?
president what the president can do is limited, like we just said. They have a limited scope, and that's what he did. He put down an executive order. It's being challenged by the ACLU. He's going to lose. He's going to, like, this is going to be overturned by the courts. They've already overturned very similar actions from Trump and from Biden. So we need Congress to get involved, but Congress has decided they're not going to do anything until Trump gets back in office.
Because the bill was bad, Guy.
But I asked you why it was bad, so let's get back to that. Why was the bill bad?
During the debates, do you remember? Do you
Why
guys
was
not
the bill
remember
bad?
when Joe Biden said to
Why
flood
was
the border
the
if
bill
he wins?
bad?
What
Why was
does
the
that
bill
mean
bad?
when he tells people of the whole world to flood the border?
Patrick, why was the bill bad?
Because it didn't limit the amount of people that came over. They said it could go up to a point, and they also talked about that this is all.
That's not true, Patrick.
It is true.
Patrick, do you know if that number?
Absolutely not.
Patrick, do you know if that
is.
number? Patrick, do you know if that number that they suggested was higher or lower than the daily average at the time?
It's about the same as the
It
daily
was
average.
lower. It was lower. It was quite
Not
a
at-
bit
not
lower
at the
by like
peak,
three
not at the
by
peak.
like 3,000. The average at
maybe
the
it is
time
right
was
now, but
the
Hey,
average
averages
hold
don't
on,
take the
Patrick,
peak.
Just listen. The average at the time was around 8,000.
Yeah,
And they said 5,000. So that's less, Patrick.
you're
8,000 is a bigger number than 5,000. That's
so
how I figured
you're
it
okay
out.
with 5,000 coming across the border a day?
Correct.
No,
yes.
it's not coming across the border. We got to correct that. I can't let you lie. It's encounters, right? See, any single person alone did not come across the border. They were encountered and they were put back on the other side of the border, right? Families are processed differently, and or minors. Those are two different things. And the reason 5,000 was chosen, by the way, when Trump's border guy that he endorsed as tough on the border was negotiating, Langford, it's because they did the calculations, Patrick, and they determined that if the number was 5,000 encounters, a rolling average of 5,000, the border would shut down, that it would have been closed every day for 6 months. And that's what they were going off of was, hey, we've been in a crisis. What are the numbers? Let's reverse engineer the numbers because the border should have been shut. Let's reverse engineer and back out of it that way.
You still around, Patrick?
He doesn't want solutions. He just wants to complain. That's the thing. If we wanted solutions, the border bill might not be perfect, but it was the best solution. And that's what the Border Patrol Union said. They said, the guy said, I have a long record of not liking Biden. You could look it up. I don't necessarily like him, but this is the best thing we have right now, and we need to vote for it.
Yeah, I think that's why Republicans are so frustrated right now. Like, I get that. There's no real answer. The true answer on the border is that the Republicans are doing nothing. And so then you have to reverse engineer an argument somehow that, like, oh, it's the best thing we could possibly do is do nothing.